Hey, welcome back to the office. I'm back in town, and Daly's no longer all by himself. And this is our recap show for the WCL Fantasy Forecast. I didn't make any picks last week, didn't watch any games, and really don't know what happened.
But I did make some picks, and I picked. I was 5-1 again, picking against Air, so we'll just throw that out. It didn't really matter. As for the top performers for last week, we'll start off at quarterback, Aaron Rodgers. 5 touchdowns propelled him to 44 points. The immortal Ginger, Andy Dalton, with 383 and 3 touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown for 38 points. Cam Newton ended up with 33 points. Running back, 3 of the all-time greats, Devontae Freeman with 38.25, Joseph Randall with 27.5, and Chris Johnson with a turn back the clock effort, 22 rushes, 110 yards, 2 touchdowns. As for the wide receivers, A.J. Green had a huge day against the Ravens with 227, which was good for 336.5 points. Steve Smith had 186 yards and 2 touchdowns. And the God, Julio Jones, 20 targets, 12 catches, 164 yards, 2 touchdowns, 31 points. As for the tight ends, Greg Olsen, he had 134 yards and 2 touchdowns, which was good for 27. Gary Barnidge, some guy that plays for Cleveland, Gary Barnidge, had 105 and a touchdown for 17.5. And Jimmy Graham broke out for 83 and a touchdown, good for 16 points.
He was whining about getting some catches. I think they're going to start forcing them now.
And for the kickers, Gostkowski with 15, Hauschka with 14, Dan Carpenter with 12. And the defenses, the Arizona Cardinals, fueled by 4 interceptions of Colin Kaepernick, had 27. The Seahawks had 22, and the Vikings had 16. Also last week, me and every week we pick the people we think are going to do the best at each position. And since Cash wasn't here, we asked Micah from Feeling Lucky to pick against me. And here's how we did. I picked Tom Brady at quarterback. He was the 6th rated quarterback with 26 points.
Right.
Micah picked Cam Newton, who was the 3rd rated quarterback. He had 33. We both picked Le'Veon Bell. He had 20.75, which was the 7th best effort from a running back. At wide receiver, I had Julio. He was the 3rd best. Randall Cobb was Micah's pick. He was 4th. At tight end, I picked Greg Olsen at the last second, switched it up from Gronk, and that paid off as he was the highest scoring tight end. And Micah had Jimmy Graham, who we just said was 3rd. At kicker, I picked Matt Bryant, who only had 7. He picked Gostkowski, who was 1st.
Kickers.
And for defense, I picked the Seahawks, who were 2nd. And he went out on a limb and took the Jets, and I did not look what position they finished in, but they only finished with 2 points. And my total for the week was 133.75. His was 116.25. So I'm pretty much the best at that. I was terrible, but whatever. And we're not going to really do much more of any recap, so we'll just get back into this week's games and see if Cash can beat me this week.
Alright, first game, Team Drunk versus Super Crew. We got the Super Crew at -1. Over top of Team Drunk 0-3, I've got the word sucks. This team is just as bad as my team. Things just aren't looking good for them. Dante Moncrief has caught 3 in a row, a game with 3 straight touchdowns up against Jacksonville, probably make it 4 in a row. I'm going to pick the Super Crew this week at 1-2. I like Freeman. As long as Coleman's not playing, I'm going to like Freeman and that offense. They're going to run the ball. I think Chris Ivory's going to come back this week ready to play. Where are they playing? London or somewhere?
Yeah, 9:30. London, great.
Justin Forsett, he's already overachieved the projection I had for him. So A.J. Green, I'm going to pick the Super Crew. Team Drunk, they're kind of probably regretting making that trade right now, I think. What do you got?
They made a trade? Who did they trade for?
They traded their draft pick early on.
Oh, yeah, they did trade a draft pick.
Yes.
And they drafted Andrew Luck right in the 1st round.
Yep.
And he's been less than good so far. Actually, I'm picking Team Drunk. mainly because I think Andrew Luck's going to be the top scoring quarterback this week. Of course, now he probably won't play, and I look like an idiot. But I like Moncrief, I like D-Hop, and I guess I like Sproles against the Redskins. There's definitely a chance he returns a punt. Macklin looked really good last week, and Cincinnati let Steve Smith go crazy, so why can't Macklin go crazy? Jonathan Stewart's got a pretty decent matchup too. I like those guys. As for the Super Crew, I don't like Stafford. I don't think Freeman can replicate last week. I really like A.J. Green. He's probably my favorite non-Julio receiver this week. But I don't even know if Marshawn's going to play. So, and it's 50-50 at this point. If Marshawn plays, then I like him a lot better than I do if he doesn't. But I'll still pick Team Drunk for the
So you're taking Team Drunk +1?
Yeah.
Alright, put it in the book. Moving on to the next game, we got the Dingbats at 1-2. They're up against the Cash Money Millionaires at 0-3. We've been struggling. Had a chance to pick up Chris Johnson last week and kind of got overruled on it. And you know, turns out he would have probably got us the win. But I think this is the week we get the monkey off our back and get on the board with our first W. Le'Veon Bell's already had a good game, scored 21 points, and I had projected him at 14. Right now, the last time I looked at the line, we were +1. It could close at a pick 'em or something like that. I'm going to take us probably to roll this week. Rivers, I like his matchup against Cleveland. Bell's already overachieved. I think Arian Foster's going to come back this week. Lamar Miller's going to steal a touchdown over in London. T.Y. Hilton's got a very soft matchup. Marvin Jones has scored 2 straight weeks after I drafted him, and great decided we drop him. We picked him back up, and you know, McManus and the Seahawks, strong special teams, something I'm a big fan of, and even in fantasy. On the other side of things, you got Tyrod Taylor. He's been real hot, and he's the dollar play for me for the Dingbats. Jeremy Hill and C.J. Anderson, they get the question marks. Both guys seem to be in a timeshare. Carlos Hyde and Amari Cooper, both good plays. I'd play them on my team if I could. Stevie Johnson, I don't know what we're going to get, and Teddy Ginn, and it's just not a great safe play there. The Broncos D, I think, is right there with the Seahawks, and up against Minnesota, could definitely get him some points. So he's got a good team. I just think he's having some trouble right now with the running backs, and guys, if they got all the carries, he'd blow me out. But I don't think they are, and I think I'm gonna win.
I'm also picking the Cash Money Millionaires. I've picked 2 teams that combined 0 wins so far this week. But I do like Rivers against Cleveland, but I think they're going to run it a lot more because they're favored by 8. So the game flow could dictate that they give it to Melvin Gordon a little bit more. But Le'Veon's always great. He was great last night. If Arian Foster plays, they have a great matchup. Atlanta's the worst in the league against the run. So if he plays and they give him a full workload, he's going to have a big game. Jacksonville's terrible, so T.Y. is going to have a bunch of targets. Sammy Watkins isn't playing, which affects this game on both sides, as your team has Percy Harvin, which that elevates his status, and the other team has Sammy Watkins, and so they had to put Ted Ginn in for him, and that's a big-time downgrade. And, yeah, Marvin Jones, Kansas City, is the worst pass defense in the league, so he could definitely get another touchdown this week. On the other side, Tyrod Taylor is the surprise of the season so far by miles. He's way better than I could ever imagine. And another surprise is they drafted Jeremy Hill and C.J. Anderson back-to-back in the first and second round, and they're garbage so far. And it looks to continue for Jeremy Hill because Kansas City's really stout against the run. And the only really matchup I like other than Tyrod for him is Amari Cooper, who's up against the Bears, and they're terrible. But other than that, I like Cash's matchup a lot better. No, we're going to do that.
Alright, moving on to the next game. Rumham against Phil Unlucky. Rumham is -14 this week with Gronk out on the bye week. He's been feeling like he's, top guy, and it's going to make a big difference. We got Drew Brees, could be hurt.
He's playing,
so he's going to be playing through the injury. Abdullah seems like a safe play at this point. Ronnie Hillman, timeshare back, a lot like C.J. Anderson. Terrence Williams so far has been pretty shitty. Mike Wallace, has he done something I don't know about? Because I don't think he's done anything.
No, the Vikings really can't throw the ball.
Jimmy Graham's been bitching about his targets, and I think they're going to increase. Jets defense is kind of neutral play. Plus the 14, I like feeling lucky. On the other side, Rumham's got Russell Wilson, Forte, Ellington coming back, but they're saying Chris Johnson's going to get a bulk of the carries still. Demarius is always a great play. He's got Alfred Morris on the bench. I don't know. Maybe he sees something I don't know. I probably would be playing Alfred right now over Allen Robinson or.
Well, I mean, they didn't know if they were going to play the game or not.
Yeah, that could be why he's got him sitting. But -14, that's too much. Rumham could win this game. I definitely do think he has a chance to win it. Plus the 14, I'm going to take feeling lucky.
I am going the opposite way. I will take Rumham -14. Feeling lucky's like totally injury riddled right now. They don't have Diaz, and the Gronk's out for a week, so a bye, obviously. But I mean, he has to start people like Terrence Williams and Abdullah and Hillman right now, and that's just. I don't think they can score enough. Abdullah's in a terrible matchup against Seattle. Hillman is.
The thing about Abdullah is he could steal you one on the special teams side of things too. So
yeah, I mean he could, but he could steal you one like catching a short pass too. But against Seattle, like I just don't see them moving the ball that well. And then Mike Wallace is a deep. And then he's not going to be able to get loose against Denver's secondary. And he can only catch deep balls. I don't think Teddy Bridgewater throws those particularly well. He does. Breeze against Dallas could be like it depends on how hurt Breeze really is. Like they're letting him play, but he didn't look good the last time he played against Tampa. So if his shoulders hurt more than it really is, or they think it is, then he's not going to be that effective. But Dallas showed last week they're susceptible to people that can throw the ball. And Jimmy Graham's probably going to have a big day because Detroit's 27th against tight ends. But other than that, I don't really think he's going to do much. On the other side, Demarius is always getting his. You can't stop him. Witten has a great matchup because the Saints just let tight ends go crazy on them. And they've had the tight end score at least once every week. It shouldn't be different this week as Witten is about the only, him and Dunbar and Terrence Williams are the only receiving threats the Cowboys have. And Allen Robinson's actually not a bad matchup against the Colts either. The Colts defense has been bad against the pass, and the Jaguars will be throwing because the Colts are going to be ahead more than likely. So I'll take the Rumham -14 against my better judgment.
All right, next game. What do you got?
Drew Crews -12, right?
I got him at -13.
Well, 12. I'll take them either way. Drew Crews got a really solid team, honestly. They're one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the league. And the thing, they had Romo starting, and all of a sudden he gets hurt, and you think, well, they're in trouble. Of course not. They got Carson Palmer, who falls into cherry matchups every week. He's got another one against St. Louis this week. And, of course, he's got AP, too, and he looks like he never left. And Denver's actually, like, as good as they are against the pass, they're kind of giving up a little bit on the run. So they're probably leaning heavily on AP. Ingram's in a good spot against Dallas. Fitzgerald looks like he did 3 years ago. Randall Cobb's playing against the 49ers. They're horrible. Martellus Bennett is against Oakland, who's dead last against tight ends. Gary Barnidge went off last week against Oakland. Even with Jimmy Clausen at quarterback, it's entirely possible that Martellus Bennett could be the best tight end this week. So, and on the other side, the Bears, they've already had a few people play, and they did not play well. Mike Vick was bad. I mean, fantasy-wise, he did okay.
Antonio Brown
Antonio Brown for the first time didn't have 50 yards receiving in forever. They're going back to like 3 years. Steve Smith got hurt in the first half, so he didn't do much.
Steelers did. I don't think
the Steelers didn't do much either. Yeah, I don't like Isaiah Crowell this week. I mean, well, the Chargers are 30th against the run somehow. 31st against running backs. But he's in that timeshare with Duke Johnson. I really don't like it. I do like Frank Gore for the first time all year because the Jaguars are terrible. And Frank Gore game flow should dictate that he gets a bunch.
Honestly, I don't see how we got to waste a lot of time on this game. I mean, the Drew Crew's super strong, and most of the Bears players have played, or a good chunk of them, and they really didn't do a whole lot. You look at the Drew Crew top to bottom, they're all pretty safe plays. Not one guy on his team that couldn't fit in on all of the rest of the teams in the league.
Roddy,
well, maybe Roddy, I guess, but he's always a threat, with Matt Ryan and that Kyle Shanahan stuff. They're going to definitely be scoring some points. Drew Crew rolls, covers the 13. I think we're both in agreement there. All right, moving on to the next game. This is the game of the week. 3-0 fourth and inches, 3-0 double A. Fourth and inches is -16. It's quite a big number. Looks like double A's got their full squad. Not really.
Oh, they still have Victor Cruz in there because he's not playing now. For sure, not playing.
They don't have Victor Cruz in the lineup. I got Torrey Smith in that spot probably. Everyone on double A is a safe play. I put them all in my lineup, and I could use pretty much each one of these guys. Matt Ryan at Houston versus Houston. Oakland at Chicago. Chicago's pretty much given up, I think. Eddie Lacy, San Francisco. Keenan Allen against Cleveland. Great matchup. I'm banking on it myself. Cooks, I think, is pretty safe play as long as Breeze is healthy. Janikowski's a great kicker. Kelsey. On the other side of things, I mean, your team's great too. Everybody's safe. You got lugged up on Carlos Williams this week. Should be a good play. Cam Newton's a good play. Melvin Gordon's a good play. Julio's always a good play. Sanders is always safe. Marshall's doing great. Calvin. Both teams are great. I think it's going to be a 7-point game. I actually think y'all will probably win. I do like y'all's team a little bit better. But the 16 points I think is too much for a game of this magnitude. It's going to come down to the wire, and you'll probably win it by a touchdown or so. But I'm going to take double A this week for the sake of me being behind in this pick'em game, and I know you're going to pick yourself.
I'm going to pick my own team because I can't.
It gave me a chance to catch up a little bit, at least one game on you here.
I actually considered switching it when you were talking. I was like, man, he's making some good points, but nah, I'm just going to say we're going to win. And
cover 16?
The problem, I made my notes on Wednesday, so he had a bunch of different people in there. I assume he's starting Eddie Lacy instead of Victor Cruz now.
Yeah.
Okay, and is he still got Duke Johnson in there?
No, he's got Murray, Lacy, Keenan Allen, Cooks, Torrey Smith.
Oh, Brandon Cooks, okay.
And Travis
he changed Brandon Cooks when Drew Brees got back in the game. Yeah, that's definitely a better situation than it was Wednesday when they thought Luke McCown was going to play.
Plus 16, I mean, that's a lot.
It was 34 when I looked at it, so... Anyway, I like Latavius Murray a lot. I'm running him out there in DraftKings some. Chicago is pretty bad, and Oakland should... I can't believe I'm about to say this. They should be able to close the game out on the road for the second week in a row, handing the ball to Latavius Murray. How ridiculous is that? But they're playing Torrey Smith. You're really counting on garbage time there because...
They're going to be losing.
They're going to be losing. But can Colin Kaepernick even throw the ball to the right team? He was so horrible last week. But the thing, I don't know.
I see a lot of guys are hot on him.
It's so weird because he's killed the Packers traditionally, but he looked so bad last week. Like I understand taking a flyer on him in like a daily fantasy, but I would never, ever, ever, ever play him in like a situation like this where I had someone else to choose, or I wasn't going for like a huge tournament home run in DraftKings or something. But on our team, we picked up Carlos Williams because Shady, they were talking about he wasn't going to play, so we just used our waiver on him. Melvin Gordon is against a team. Cleveland let Bishop Sankey go crazy in week 1, and they let every other running back go crazy. If Melvin Gordon can't break out this week, then he may not break out at all. Julio is just Julio. He's the best, might be the best player in the NFL at the current second. Brandon Marshall's had a pretty big start of the year, and Ryan Fitzpatrick loves to lock in on one guy, and it seems to be Marshall at this point. Calvin, he started off a little bit rough, and he's got a tough matchup against Seattle, but he's still Calvin, and the Lions still throw it 70% of the time. So, I think we're going to score a bunch of points. We got some good matchups, and I just don't think their matchups are quite as good as ours this week. So I'm going to take us minus the 16.
All right.
Although the Dolphins' defense has been terrible for me. I will concede that I was pretty wrong on that.
Next game, last game of the week. Show me your TDs 2-1. Trailer Park Boys 1-2. Show me your TDs team. They have a few question marks. This Travis Benjamin and Devin Funchess. I don't know what to make of Benjamin's success, and I don't know what to make of Funchess sucking. I feel like I could have seen it being vice versa. The Eagles' defense is a strong play. Kirk Cousins, I expect we'll get a couple touchdowns, one on special teams, one on defense this week out of the Eagles. Matthews is good for 10 catches, 150 plus. Odell Beckham, he's going to have a tough matchup with Buffalo. What's the deal with DeMarco Murray? Is he in this week? Is Ryan Matthews
questionable?
Okay.
They have to play Ryan Matthews either way, though.
If Murray's down, Matthews is in, I like him. If he's not, I don't. Rando, I like at this point. Peyton Manning, good matchup, I think, Minnesota. On the other side of things, dollar signs all around for Jamal Charles, Aaron Rodgers, and James Jones. These guys have been hot, and then on the other side, or on the other hand, Yeldon and Evans have been kind of cold, and I think they might get it going this week. Greg Olsen, guy I hate, daily loves. He's proving me wrong at this point. They're playing 2 tight ends. Normally would never do that, but I'm sure they've caught some guys on bye weeks or whatever. -7 this week for the Trailer Park Boys. I'm going to pick them. I think just too many question marks on the other side. I think Trailer Park Boys will move on to 2-2, and same thing for Show Me Your TDs. They'll be at 2-2 next week. The only question is if they can cover the 7, but I'm going to pick them just in case.
Yeah, I'm taking the Trailer Park Boys too, mainly because Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah,
the 49ers, I knew 2 weeks ago they were giving up 11 yards per attempt. That was before they played the Cardinals. And Aaron Rodgers is just going to carve them up. I just don't see any other way around it coming off that game he played the other night. Jamal Charles is Casey's. They run the offense through him, and he doesn't even have to pile up yards. He's going to get all the red zone stuff that Kelsey doesn't get. TJ Yeldon, the Colts, they're not good. Their defense is bad. And if they can remain close and get in a situation where they don't have to throw it all over the field to catch up, then he can put up some numbers. Mike Evans drawing a tough defense, but he's still going to get, if they get in the red zone, he'll get looks. James Jones, with Devontae Adams out, he moves up a couple of notches. He had 139 the other night and a touchdown, so he's against the 49ers, he's a great play. Olsen's had 25 targets in 2 weeks. The Bucs play cover 2. The middle of the field's going to be wide open the entire game, and he's their best receiver by miles. Eifert, they're playing against the Chiefs. They have the worst pass defense, so that's a pretty good matchup if they decide to throw to Eifert.
I think he zeroed last week.
Yeah, he did zero last week, and they threw it all over the field too, which was really weird.
He had 3 to 5 targets. I can't remember.
Yeah, the only game he really went off in was the game they played against Oakland, who is the worst team against tight ends in the league. So maybe that was just a case of a matchup, and he hadn't had another good one. On the other side, Peyton, I still like Peyton, but his downfield throws have been so bad.
Yeah.
But other than Demarius Thomas saving him last week, I don't expect another 3 touchdowns from Julius Randle, but New Orleans does not have a good run defense.
Randall's been impressive.
Yeah,
It's a big line there, man.
He's looked all right. Ryan Matthews, I like him if DeMarco Murray doesn't play.
Yeah.
If he does play, I mean,
he could still steal a touchdown.
Yeah, he could steal a touchdown, but I don't see many carries. I mean, he might get some carries because they might baby Murray back too, or they might just not play him at all because the way it's going to be nasty. Whether, I mean, they're going to play now, but it's going to be a nasty game. So, and I don't really like anybody in that game for either team, honestly. But other than like Sproles or maybe Pierre Garçon, like you're going to get the best game you can get out of him, but. Other than that,
So who are you picking?
I'm picking the Trailer Park Boys. You're talking about the Redskins and the
picking
Eagles?
the Trailer Park Boys.
Yeah. I don't really like anybody for Chevy TDs. He's got a bunch of injuries and he's got to start bunches and I don't know. And he already had Justin Tucker go. And what are you gonna do? He had 2 or 3 field goals.
You guys made any free agent moves this year?
Have we made any free agent moves? The Redskins or
No.
My team? No, we picked up Carlos Williams on the waiver wire.
All right, top free agents. Quarterback, got Carr, Fitzy, and Bortles. At running back, Theo Riddick, Blau Powell, and Marcel Reese. Nothing exciting there. Wide receiver, Darius Hayward-Bay, Alan Hearns, and Kenny Britt. At the tight end, you got Gilmore, Barnage, and Miller. Kicker, Scobie, Myers, and Hockey.
The immortal Gary Barnage.
Defense, Vikings, Browns, and 49ers. I don't think anybody's jumping to get any of these guys. It's probably going to take an injury with our roster requirements. It'll probably take an injury for a big free agent to pop up. Everybody's going after. But that's going to conclude our show.
Oh, you didn't pick the people you thought?
Oh, the top scores for the week. That's right. Let's do our top scores.
You got them written down?
I'm gonna go. I got them in my head.
Okay.
Who you got?
Well, just doing one at a time at quarterback. I'll actually take Andrew Luck, despite the fact that everything tells me to take Aaron Rodgers. I'll do Luck for diversity's sake, because I'm sure you're picking Aaron Rodgers.
At quarterback, I do have Aaron Rodgers. I think he's just going to continue to roll. And Luck does have a good matchup, and I think he'll probably be a top 3, but I'm going to take Rodgers until something changes there. Running back, we doing 1 or 2? 1 running back?
We did 1. We've been doing 1.
All right, top running back this week, I think. I'm going to stick with, or I'm going to go with Devonta Freeman, actually. He had a big week last week. I think he'll have another big week. Who's your running back?
I'll take Jamal Charles.
Jamal Charles?
If Aaron Foster had been back for 2 or 3 weeks and I knew he was getting the full workload, I would take Aaron Foster, but I'll take Jamal Charles.
At wide receiver, I'm going to go out on a limb here and just switch it up. I'm going to go A.J. Green.
It's a real big limb.
Worst pass defense in the league.
I'll go out on a real big limb and take Julio. I'll just take Julio every week.
All right, tight end, I want Jimmy Graham.
I want to take Greg Olsen. I'll take Greg Olsen again.
Kicker, I'm going to take Gostowski.
I
know they're on a bye.
Yeah.
Shit, give me Josh Brown.
I actually forgot to Hauschka. I went Hauschka, that's right.
Alright, and for the defense, I'm going to go with the Raiders, man.
Wow.
Go up against them Bears.
Yeah,
Give me the Raiders.
I see your logic. Who did I can't remember who I had picked. I'm not picking the Seahawks again. I will take the Carolina Panthers.
Panthers, man, they're strong.
I'm going to take the Panthers.
Alright, well, that's going to conclude our show. One thing we'd like is if you could leave in the comment box whether you'd rather us break the show up into segments or just have one big show, or, well, I saw some of our views were down last week, and I don't know if that was because I didn't text around the link or you guys didn't see it posted, but anyway, this is going to conclude the show. We appreciate you watching and look forward to tuning in next week.